Welcome back to Crown Chats and to part two with Cindy Busby, my queen, the perfect way to wrap up Royal Month. Let's dive right in. So, filming period pieces, I'm always so fascinated by the wardrobe, the set design, the props, everything that the whole team does to come together to depict the time frame in which the story is set. For you as the actor, what is your process in researching for the time period? Are you collaborating with makeup artists and costumers to kind of work on your transformation into the character? And what is your overall experience of just sort of immersing yourself into this different world and time frame?
Well, obviously I love to do my own research. So just looking, and we're so lucky nowadays with Google that we can find, basically anything. So yeah, just looking into the time period of, what did women wear and depending on where they lived, were they in the big city? Were they in small town? Um, Hair and makeup. And of course, this is still television, so we're still keeping it as authentic as possible while also creating like a romantic feel to it and making it look pretty and all that good stuff. But yeah, for me, it was mostly looking into, mannerisms and how people had a different level of politeness and how, people spoke and certain words they didn't use then versus like that we now use in society. There was actually a couple words that we use, which I'm trying to think of right now, which I was thoroughly shocked existed then, but they did because I would do some research. I'm like, oh, I think the word was something like amazing or something like that. And I was like, amazing. I was like, they definitely did not use that then. And don't quote me on that, but it was something in that vein. And I looked it up, and indeed, it was like from the 1800s, and it was around. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is incredible. So like little things like that would pop up, where that was like really, really cool to learn about. It's just like little things we take for granted. And as far as the costumes go, a lot of the costumes were very accurate. In fact, a lot of them were quite old, and because of that, they were so fragile, and that was always so stressful for me because I would try things on and I would wear a petticoat every day and a slip, and they were so like thin because they were so old. And a few times, you can't help it. They're almost like a thin fabric, like linen, where they would just like kind of rip, and then I would go to the costumers and I'd be like, I'm so sorry, and they're like, it's okay, we'll fix it. And I just felt like everything I wore constantly was about to get compromised, and I was like, why is it always me? Like, what am I doing wrong? So that was really cool. But of course, like every department has, I give my piece, but I also give, I surrender to the different departments on, the work that they're doing and the accuracy in which they're doing it, and trusting that, they've done their work and their research. But yeah, I mean, there's certain things on the show that aren't 100% accurate, and that's okay because again, it's television, and we're going to make it still an entertaining experience. But yeah, getting to learn how to drive a wagon with a horse, that was very different and challenging. And so I had some lessons for that. And anytime I was on set, we would practice before we'd go to camera. And I will say I was actually quite good at that. I feel like I was like honing my ancestors and being like, okay, I got this, everyone. But yeah, it was really cool. And the sets are just so beautiful and so cool. Like you really feel like you're in a little like cowboy town, and where we just had a telegram, no phone, no like real electricity back then. Whereas like in the bigger cities, they would have started to have this. This is supposed to take place in 1920. So just kind of the start of it all. But yeah, it's so cool. I feel like it makes it so much easier to kind of like throw yourself into and really suspend um your disbelief sort of thing and just like allow yourself to immerse in the world, which is really cool.
And season 2 of When Hope Calls premieres April 6th on Great American Family and streams April 3rd on PureFlix. Can you tell us a little bit about what we can expect?
Yeah, it's so excited to join the cast. So, obviously season one was a long time ago, and of course, as things change and actors move on from projects. So, Christopher Russell and I are kind of leading the charge, and we're the new kind of kids in town. And I get to play the character of Nora Anderson, who is a lawyer from San Francisco. Her family has all since passed, and so she's kind of like an orphan now, an adult orphan. And she decides to leave San Francisco and goes to find out a little bit more about her long lost sister, who's now passed, and finds out that she has two nieces that are alive that she did not know about. And so she ventures to Brookfield to see if she can form some kind of connection with them. And throughout that, she meets a handsome Mountie Michael Fletcher, who's also known as Fearless Fletcher. And so that's played by Christopher Russell. And, the characters, they meet each other, but they kind of have a little bit of like a nice banter, like they finally kind of met their match. And so that's what's really cool about these two very strong characters who meet, but also can't help but keep meeting and have some sort of magnetic attraction to one another. And then of course throughout the season, and this is one of the things I love so much about When Hope Calls is the characters, the various characters that are part of the show. Most of the cast is returning from the original season, which is so exciting, like Maggie and Ronnie and Joe, and the orphans in the show, they're all new. But yeah, they were so fun to get to work with. I mean, they have such fun little quirks and characters, and getting to work with kids is like no other, because they're just constantly in the moment, and the little like cutenesses that come out and you don't see it coming. And their attention span when we're not shooting is like next to none. And it's just so sweet, and getting to know their moms and their dads, and that was really nice. And we have horses on the show, and Mounties and cowboys and ranchers and a donkey and a dog, and just like seeing the dynamics of the town come together. And I think that that's what this show kind of really shows, is the sense of community and connection and coming together. And at this particular time in 1920s, like, you had to come together to help each other out, because it was such a hard time. Things weren't easy. Like, the life in and of itself was more complicated. It was cold, no electricity, no phone, etc. So it was really back to basics. So you had to kind of lean on each other for help. And I feel like that's something that, although there's a huge time gap, it's something that we're all kind of going to look at and kind of like relate to or want more of in our own lives, even though we're like 100 years later.
Yeah, well, and it's the need and desire for community. I mean, we are a communal species, but we didn't just run to Target to go grab milk. Like, you had to depend on neighbors, like, to grow whatever, if you had a shared garden, or like, someone who also had skills to be a doctor and this and that. It's like you all were a village. It really took a village at that point.
Yeah.
I wish I crave more of that.
Yeah, I think we all kind of do. And we're finding our way back to that to some capacity, I think.
Well, maybe your show will continue to inspire that in us.
I hope so. I hope so.
And that brings us to our final segment, which I call a little crown to crown, which is simply a rapid fire response. I'm going to give you a topic, and you're going to give me the first answer that comes to mind.
Okay.
First one, starting simple. Favorite holiday?
Christmas.
Dream filming location.
Ooh. Um, I would say, so many. I'm gonna say Paris.
Please take me with. Okay.
I mean, we would be so fabulous.
We could like make that a fashion movie. Susie could be strutting. It'd be amazing. So,
Oh yeah, and Susie would have like a little beret.
their little croissant or something. I don't know.
Yes. Oh yeah,
Um,
she loves croissants.
if you had to trade occupations with any of your past characters, what would it be?
The past character of mine, I would choose. Ooh, wow, that's tough. I'm trying to remember everything I've done. I would say a photographer. I've played a photography a few times, and I think that there's something really beautiful about capturing moments. I'm not a photographer by any means, but I do really enjoy taking photos in the moment and of my friends. And yeah, there's something really special about capturing moments in time.
Other than acting, what is another great skill or talent that you could contribute off camera?
Ooh, I love cooking. Cooking is a real passion of mine. And then I also really love organizing. Like organizing is a passion and it excites me. Like kind of going through someone's closet and being like, okay, let's go through this. What do you need? What don't you need? What can we give away? That whole thing. I love that. It excites me.
You have the most uplifting, positive energy about you. It's the Queen of Christmas spirit. How would you advise others to keep that spirit and joy in them all year long?
Mm. Wow. I think the biggest thing is that there's one of my best friends always says this, and it's just that there's always something to be grateful for, no matter what in life, whether, we're going through the trenches and it's difficult and there's always something to find that we can be grateful for that can literally shift our energy in instant, whether it's the incredible, family that we have, or your partner, or your dog, or the food on the table, or the comfortable bed that you have, or the or nature, like just walking in nature, like being like beyond ourselves and seeing and finding something that shifts our energy. I think there's a lot of value in that. And finding the joy in everything that we do, even when it's challenging. There's always something through the challenge that we can be grateful for in hindsight, because there's always learning, there's always growing that happens through it. And that's kind of my the way I see it. And trust me, there's been challenges.
Of course.
But it's nice to know, to recognize the strength that we have through it, and to remind ourselves of how far we've come. Like it's so easy to be so caught up in the moment, but to think of like where we were at 5 years ago or 10 days ago and where we're at now, and everything is like has an ebb and a flow. And every day there's going to be night, and every night then there's going to be day, and it's like reminding yourself that it's ever changing, ever evolving, and to be grateful for every moment, because it is constantly fleeting.
And lastly, a favorite charity or organization to give a shout out to that holds a place in your heart.
Well, I'm going to go ahead and share Mayday Rescue. They are who we adopted Susie from. They are a local Los Angeles rescue. They save animals every single day. And and whether it's that rescue or any other rescue, they just do such incredible work. And so there's someone that I personally donate to, also through my cameos, which 100% of my proceeds go to animal rescues. So that's a huge thing for me, and it's very important.
And that wraps us up. Thank you so much for your time. It is always an honor and joy to connect with you, speak with you, and I cannot wait to see you in person again. Before we go, can you please just tell everybody where they can find and follow you to keep up with all things Cindy Busby and the exciting projects you have coming soon?
All things Cindy. Well, of course, you can follow me on Instagram at Cindy_Busby. You can also find me on YouTube at the Cindy Busby. I have a fan page on Facebook. I have my website, cindybusby.com, where you can find my store. You can sign up for my newsletter and follow all of the latest and greatest in my life. And that's pretty much it, I think.
And that wraps up this episode of Crown Chats and part 2 with Cindy Busby. Thank you again for joining me. If you love what you're seeing, please like and subscribe to this YouTube channel, because you also don't want to miss out on the guests we have coming soon. And don't forget, we now have Crown Chats and Crown the Halls merch available. You can find that in the link in this bio at dressingfestive.com or on the link in my Instagram page. So until next time, wear your crown. Your crown may tilt, may it never fall, but you are beautiful and you are strong.